Hello, all my book friends, and welcome back to another one of my videos. I want to apologize in advance for my hair. We have some kind of weird windstorm going on outside. It's like 26-mile-an-hour wind gusts out there. And for whatever reason, it is causing some serious static with my hair and it's driving me nuts today. Anyways, first off, grab a drink. We're going to be here a bit talking about books. I have a zero sugar Coca-Cola orange cream. I just recently tried this and I absolutely loved it and I'm kind of hooked and it's become my new thing. It reminds me of orange sherbet ice cream. I absolutely love it. It's my new favorite. It's actually the new favorite of the whole house. Today I wanted to talk about some of my favorite audiobooks. Now, some of these audiobooks that I'm going to talk about I didn't just listen to recently. It wasn't just this year or last year. Some of these are years and years and years ago. There's one series on here that had been my top #1 for like, I'd say almost 10 years now. And not just mine, but my husband's too. Every audiobook that I'm going to talk to you about today, my husband's also listened to, and he also loved them. Starting out of audiobook number 10 is the Kodak Index series, Spellbound. Okay, so this is by the author Annette Marie, and these books came out, oh gosh, years and years and years ago. And this author has a whole Guild Codex series that follow different people, and they have quite a few books in here. And I'm going to read them to you. I have the list right here because it's just way too many books to memorize. So book 1 is 3 Mages and a Margarita. Book 2 is Dark Arts and a Daiquiri. Number 3 is 2 Witches and a Whiskey. Book number 4 is Demon Magic and a Martini. My dog's butt's getting in the way. Number 5 is The Alchemist and an Amaretto. Number 6 is Druid Vices and a Vodka. Number 7 is Lost Talismans and a Tequila. Number 8 is Damned Souls and a Sangria. Meet Tori, sassy redhead, ex-waitress with an attitude and human bartender of a magic guild. 3 Mages and a Margarita opens the hilarious and heartwarming Guild Codex series. The story is basically about a girl named Tori who kind of has a hard time keeping a job. She's pretty feisty. She has quite the temper. And so she moves in with her brother, and he's kind of taking care of her. And he always makes it sound like, oh, you know, I love you. I get you. You know, you don't have to work. I don't mind covering the rent. But because she's very independent, she's very like, I need to take care of myself. You know, I need to provide some rent. And she just so happens, as she's wandering around, this piece of paper flies through the air and she catches it, and it's got a bartending job on it. And she's like, okay, I could do that. And then she meets these 3 guys. They're kind of like best friends, almost like brothers. And she meets them and she starts hanging out with them. So then they're like this, you know, quad group. From there, like a lot of stuff happens. Like she gets in one of the other books, she gets like kidnapped, right? And then someone that they thought was a bad guy ended up not being a bad guy. And I think that guy even gets his own Guild Codex series, which I haven't listened to yet, but I'm debating it. But I loved Tori and I loved the 3 men. So Spellbound was the very first of all of the Guild Codex series, and there's like a few different ones. So coming in at audiobook number 9, it is the Awakened Fates series. And so far there are 3 books. I haven't heard about a 4th book coming out yet, but I haven't really looked in a while, but as of right now, there's 3. The Crown of Blood and Glass, which is book 1. Book 2, which is Dawn of Fate and Valor. And book number 3, which is Wings of Sunfire and Darkness. Basically, in The Crown of Blood and Glass, it's about this princess who has a best friend that she's been kind of secretly in love with, but you know, there's that whole, we're best friends, right? And she's been promised to her best friend's brother, who is the first prince of another kingdom. And then, of course, she has a guy who's been her bodyguard for a really long time, and he has been secretly in love with her forever. What ends up happening is her best friend ends up killing her father in front of her and killing a bunch of other people, taking over her kingdom, and wants to marry her, and she feels betrayed. And when she basically tells him no, you know, her life's in danger, her bodyguard manages to save her and get her out of the castle. And then it goes on to this whole long quest of trying to gain allies and strength and awakening her powers in order to get her kingdom back. Now, the reason why it was a really good series to listen to. I loved it. Enough for it to be on my top 10 list. However, the reason why it's so much down farther on my list is I am a huge anime watcher, and I like to read mangas, graphic novels. I love watching anime. Now, this book, I kid you not, change the names, change a few things here and there, okay? This book was identical to Yana of the Dawn. It's been on Netflix. It's been on Crunchyroll. If you've watched it, you watch it. This is identical to it. Everything that happens in book 1 literally happened in Yana of the Dawn. Now, from there, the other two books, they deviate away from it. So I'm thinking that the authors, which by the way, I never did say that, the authors are Lucinda Dark and Rebecca Gray. Apparently, they only watched the anime of Yana of the Dawn and didn't realize it was a manga that continues on a lot further, because after book 1, it deviates into more of its own story. You know, they were catchy, and it was nice that they deviated away from Yana of the Dawn, and they made it their own, and they tied it in really well and made it good. So that made it worth finishing the books. Coming in at number 9 is the Blackthorn Hunters Academy series. The author of the series, and hopefully I'm going to say this right, is Juliana Hagert. I actually liked this series. There was 5 books in the series. Number 1 is The Demon Kiss. Number 2 is The Hunter's Secret. Number 3 is The Soul Bond. Number 4 is The Shadow Trials, and number 5 is The Infernal Curse. Reading the book out loud in the audiobook was absolutely fantastic. But basically what this story is about a girl named Erin who was raised by her grandma, and you know, she always kind of knew she was different. People kind of made fun of her. They've traveled around a lot, and she gets dared to go into this spooky haunted house thing, and a whole bunch of events happen, and she ends up getting attacked by all of these monsters, and she's just like, what the heck is going on, right? She barely manages to survive, but she ends up getting marked by a demon. At the end, she gets rescued by a demon hunter. She's marked by a demon, so she's not going to ever be safe. And so this demon hunter, he's like, the only thing that we can do to protect you, to keep you safe, is bring you to the Demon Hunters Academy, Blackthorn Academy, and then try to keep you safe. He's also contracted by an evil demon prince. He's supposed to be infiltrating the academy to try to take it down. And then in comes this girl, and he wants to protect her, and she ends up being tied into his story. It's a really good series. There was points where it bugged me a little. I mean, you know, when you have a really long series and like there's a whole build up to romance, and then they kind of get together like towards the end of the book, and then something happens, and then no, we can't be together. And then book 2 comes in like, let's be together towards the end of book 2. No, we can't be together. And it's just a long circle loop, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you guys. She takes a lot of surprising hits and still comes out swinging. So I love that about her. Number 7 in my audiobook series is the Games of the Gods trilogy. There's 3 books. The author is Nikki Cardinove. Book 1 is Hades' Descendants. Book 2 is Vicious Champion. And book 3 is Fated Goddess. I really like this because it kind of gives me Percy Jackson vibes. Every year, the immortals of Mount Olympus assemble for brutal series of games. Welcome to the trials, where the offspring of the gods must compete for their immortality. There's only one rule: winner takes all. I'm just Anna, an orphan, a cast-off. Nothing too special about me except for that one pesky problem I have where things die when I touch them. Yep, it's definitely an issue. This year at the trials, everyone's expecting Haven Nightfall to win, one of Hades' elite descendants. Haven is extremely handsome and cruel and perfect to admire from afar. He just happens to also be my own personal tormentor, except when he's kissing the daylights out of me, which is not confusing at all. No one's betting on me, plain old Anna. No one expects an unclaimed orphan to win, but I'll stop at nothing to learn to control my powers, beat Haven, and become champion. Beware Olympus, because this dark horse might be your downfall. This is a great, fast-paced, enemies to lovers story, and I absolutely loved the banter between them, and I love it when there's just this serious hate going on, like, and you think the guy hates her, but then he finds himself inwardly helping her, and then they just end up, it's a romance, it's a love that they had to fight for, and there's a lot of obstacles in their way. I love Anna. Next, in slot number 6, The City of Wishes. There are 6 books in this series. The author is Rachel Morgan, and I absolutely loved this series. It was kind of like a Cinderella retelling, but so much more. Each book I listened to kept me on my toes, kept me going. Book 1, which is The Memory Thief. Book 2, which is The Vampire Trap. Book number 3, which is The Moonlight Masquerade. Book 4, The Eternal Night. Book 5, The Starlight Quest. And book 6, The Ever After Wish. Cinderella retold. Fae, vampires, shifters, and a godmother who will grant you any wish if you pay the price. For human slave Ellie, it's just another night of breaking her stepmother's rules and sneaking out. Another night of using her unique skills for clients who want to forget. Get the job done, get paid, move one step closer to legitimately buying a wish. But Ellie runs face first into a charming and handsome fairy, and then ends up in the clutches of a vampire. Her usual flight under the radar plans are knocked off course. It's like in a world of fae, vampires, and shifters where wishes can be bought and bargained for. Ellie is human, bound to her stepmother by a slave charm. Her only hope at freedom is to wish for it. But the godmother rules the illegal wish trade, and the price she demands is steep. Is Ellie willing to pay it? Such a good series. She just wants to be free. She's tired of being a slave to her evil stepmother, wants to be free, and so she does all these jobs and tries to do all this stuff to win her freedom, and then she meets this prince, and she doesn't even know he's a prince when they first meet, and he keeps it a secret for a while. I feel like so many Cinderella retellings have been done that it can kind of get old, but I loved this series, and I thought it was very refreshing, and definitely worth listening to. Now we're into my top 5. And this one was actually really hard for me to do because they all are so close and so dear to my heart, and I love them. And even talking about them, you guys can't even see it, but they give me goosebumps. I love every single MFC, MMC in these last 5 audiobook series. I've listened to them a million times. They're my go-tos. After listening to them, my life was changed forever. I love them so much. I highly, highly, highly recommend these next books that I am going to talk about. I loved them that much. So coming in at number 5 is the Death Before Dragon series. Oh man, I love this book so much. It's like a 9-book series. The author is Lindsay Broker. If you guys have not read or listened to this series, what are you doing with your life? This series was fantastic. It was hilarious. I mean, yes, it's fantasy, it's romance, it's all this, but it was so funny. It was such a good time. Like, there was so much action, so much going on. There's this and this and this, but then at the same time, there is this hilarity to it, and it just has you laughing, and you get invested in all the characters, and you feel like a part of the world, a part of this family, a part of this group of people that just never let you go. And I think about this series all the time. So then you've got book number 1, which is Sinister Magic, book number 2, which is Battle Bond, book number 3, which is Tangled Truth, number 4, Elven Doom, number 5, False Security, number 6, Stormforged, number 7, Secrets of the Sword, number 8, Secrets of the Sword 2, and then Secrets of the Sword 3. Now, book 7, 8, and 9 are kind of, they're like little side stories. So basically it really ends at book 6. 7, 8, and 9 is just like, it takes her and all of the characters and they go on these quests and do these things, right? But really the story concludes in book 6. But I enjoyed all 9 of the books. Oh man, I can't even, there's not much I could say about this book without giving it a ton away. So I'm just going to read this. Like, you guys have to hear this. I'm Val Thorvald, and I'm an assassin. When magical bad guys hurt people, I take care of them permanently. This doesn't make me popular with the rest of the magical community, as you can tell from the numerous break-ins and assassination attempts I've endured over the years. But thanks to my half-elven blood, a powerful sword named Chopper, which I absolutely love, and a telepathic tiger with an attitude. I love her tiger. Oh my gosh. Every time she summons him, he's just like this regal, why are you summoning me? Like, I could wipe the floor with these people, right? Like, he's just so regal. So, oh my gosh, I love this. I love her tiger. I've always been able to handle my problems with aplomb. Maybe some cursing and swearing too, but definitely aplomb. That changes when my boss is afflicted with a mysterious disease, a government agent starts investigating me, and a godforsaken dragon, yes, a dragon, shows up in the middle of my latest job. I've taken down vampires, zombies, and ogres, but dragons are way, way more powerful, and it doesn't look like this one is going to like me. Worse than that, he wants to use his magic to compel me to do his bidding, as if I'm some weak-minded minion. That's not going to happen. I'd died before being some dragon's slave. But if I can't figure out a way to avoid him, save my boss, and get rid of the government spook, I'm screwed, or dead, or screwed and dead, and that's not even comfortable. All I have to say is you guys have to go listen to this, or read it if that's your thing. But it's on Amazon. They're on Amazon. If you have not listened to these books or have not read these books, please, 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 if you listen to nothing else, go listen to these books because they're amazing. And I absolutely love Val. And at the same time, you have to feel sorry for her because if a mission is going to go to crap, it's going to happen to her. It doesn't matter. No matter what she has to do, something's going to happen and mess things up. You don't know how it's going to happen, and you're going to be very much surprised by how things end up turning out. MMC, I was completely thrown by. I did not even know that that was what's going to happen, and I'm not going to say, I don't want to say anything about the MMC because I feel like you need to read it going in blind because that's part of the shock. That's part of the awe. That's part of the, okay. Coming in at number 4 is the Red Winter Trilogy. I absolutely love these books. I read them first, and they they're those books that you read, and then like every so many pages or something, you'll get like an illustrated photo of what's going on, and then it'll just go back to regular reading again. I read all 3 books, which are Red Winter, number 2 is Dark Tempest, and number 3 is Immortal Fire. And this series is written by Annette Marie. You've got this maiden who is basically being raised to eventually someday become the body of their goddess, basically. She has been sheltered her whole life. In book 1, she learns some devastating things that lead on this quest that allows her to meet a kutsune, which is basically, and I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but basically he's a fox demon. And then suddenly, poof, he's no longer a little fox, white fox anymore. He's a human with fox ears and a fox tail and the hottest guy she's ever seen. And they go on this this whole adventure, this whole quest, and she learns some things. She wants more of the truth. Again, I don't want to give too much of it away, but I absolutely loved this story. Emmy is the Kamakari. In a few short months, her life as a mortal will end, and her new existence as the human host of a goddess will begin. Carefully hidden from those who would destroy her, she has prepared her mind, body, and soul to unite with the goddess, and not once has she doubted her chosen fate. Shiro is a yokai, a spirit of the earth, an enemy of the goddess Emmy will soon host. Mystery shrouds his every move, and his ruby eyes shine with cunning she can't match and dares not trust. But she saved his life, and until his debt is paid, he is hers to command, whether she wants him to or not. On the day they meet, everything Emmy believes comes undone, swept away like snow upon the winter wind. For the first time, she wants to change her fate, but how can she erase a destiny already wrought in stone? Against the power of the gods, Shiro is her only hope, and hope is all she has left. This series was so good. I will say again, I liked listening to the series more than I liked reading it because it has a lot of words that I just did not understand. Like, they were not English, and I found myself struggling to try to pronounce them in an English terminology that it wasn't English. This book, the romance between them is heart-stopping. Shiro, OMG. I love him. I will love him forever, and I will feel sorry for him forever. The things that he went through and learning how to trust again, it just... Okay, next we have another codex, another Guild Codex series by the same author, Annette Marie. So this is the Guild Codex series, Demonization. Book number 1 is Taming Demons for Beginners. Number 2 is Slaying Monsters for the Feeble. Number 3 is Hunting Fiends for the Ill-Equipped. And number 4 is Delivering Evil for Experts. Her family is a long line of like demon summoners, right? What they do is they bring a demon into their world, and then they force them into a contract to work for them. And then, so they can be summoned and then used to their will. And they're kind of like robots. They don't have a mind of their own. They're just kind of like, oh, you want me to kill something, right? Like, you can tell that they're not there. And so she's been taught 3 rules. Don't look at a demon. Don't listen to the demon. And don't talk to the demon. And she runs into a demon who's been summoned. He cares about her so much. And the love story between these two, and I know he's a demon, he's got little horns, right? And his skin color's different, but like, oh, I love the story between these two. And the banter, they couldn't be more different at all, right? But then as you go on, you learn things about the MMC that go, okay, you know, I can see why he sees her the way he does. It's really good, and it's funny, and it's very action-packed, and again, a book that is a definite must listen to or definite must read. I absolutely enjoyed it. The voice actor for the audiobooks was fantastic, and they really drew you in. Number 2. Now, you guys, this book has been my number 1 for so long, years and years and years. And in fact, when I told my husband it was no longer number 1, he asked what was wrong with me, because this series would probably be his number 1. It's the Magic series, okay, by Alona Andrews. If you've never met Kate Daniels, if you've never read Kate Daniels' series, then I implore you, please, 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 you've got to go listen to them, read them. I don't care. But before we get into talking more about this, I need to drink. There are 10 books in the Kate Daniels Magic series. 10. The books in the series are number 1, Magic Bites, number 2, Magic Burns, number 3, Magic Strikes, number 4, Magic Bleeds, number 5, Magic Slays, number 6, Magic Rises, number 7, Magic Breaks, number 8, Magic Shifts, number 9, Magic Binds, and number 10, Magic Triumphs. You would think that in a 10-book series that it would start getting boring or repetitive, or there's no way that after 5 books you can be surprised or shocked or anything. I tell you, every single book will have you hooked. Every single book in the audiobook series, 5 stars. The whole series, 5 stars. I wish there was 10 stars, because honestly, it would be 10 stars for me. Kate Daniels is so down to earth, right? Like, there's so much going on in her life, and yes, she's badass, but at the same time, everything comes with a cost. Like, she feels so real, and compared to so many other things that go on, she goes through a lot, physically and mentally, over and over repeatedly. And it seems like in every single book, you think she's not going to survive, but somehow she does, with a new scar, a new friend, but she survives. The main love interest in this series, I will love Curran forever. Forever. He is a lion shifter, peeps. He is a lion shifter. And he is... Yes, please. Serve him up on a tray for me. Like, is so badass. I kid you not. I have to share this one little thing. It's not really going to give anything away. But the first time she meets him and she realizes, because he appears to her in his lion form, and she's so snarky, and this is how she gets herself in so much trouble. But she literally looks at him, who is the king of shifters. Okay, he is the king of all shifters. That means he is super tough. Like, nobody's been able to beat him. And I kid you not, she looks at him and she says, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." Seriously, Kate. And like, she is always so snarky with him. And they just go through this back and forth, like, I hate you, but I don't hate you. Like, I want to get under your skin, right? Like, she is always taunting him and he's always taunting her. And they're doing all these things. And you meet all these side characters. And I love this series. I have listened to it a gajillion times. I will continue to listen to it a gajillion times. And it was literally my top favorite audiobook, my top favorite book of all time. But I love Kate Daniels. I love everything she stands for. I love who she is. She reminds me so much of myself and my personality. Like, she could be on death's door. She could have fingers like falling off of her, blood coming out of her mouth, can barely move, and she will give more to save those around her, to save the world, to save the people she doesn't even know. She will give everything, and it just drives Curran up the wall because he wants to protect her. He wants to keep her safe. He doesn't want her hurting herself. But yet she just blindly runs into danger without any second thought. And I'm surprised that Curran hasn't gone bald with all the crap that she has put him through. But you guys, you have to listen to it. If you have not read the Magic series, if you know nothing about Kate Daniels, then at the end of this video, go look it up, add it to your TBR, add it to your must listen to, add it to your must reads. I don't care. But go, do it, go. I mean, they're old series, and I don't hear anybody talking about them anymore. I don't know if it's because they're just so old, because they are old books. They've been out a long time. So maybe they're just so old that people don't know about them anymore. So if that's the case, then I'm going to bring them back. And, you know, if nothing else, like this video, share this video so more people can hear about this. So we can get this back in rotation. Okay. Help me out, guys. So if you have read this series or listened to this series and you guys agree with me that it is really good, like this video, share this video, recommend this video to people. Like, let's get the Magic series back out there to all these people who have never heard of it. Okay. Help me out with that. Please. I'd really appreciate it for the Magic series. Let's do it. And last but not least is audiobook number 1. And again, I did not think any book was going to be able to top the Magic series for me, but this one did. And this is The Shadow Beast Shifters. Now, granted, there's 6 books in the series. I never read 4, 5, or 6. I just read I just listened to the first 3 books. The other 3 books are about other people. This book series was written by Jamin Eve. So you've got book number 1, which is Rejected, book number 2, which is Reclaimed, and book number 3, which is Reborn. My father made a terrible mistake, one I'm left paying for. As a wolf shifter growing up in a strong pack, I should be living my best life, but after my father tried to kill our leader, I'm labeled an outcast traitor less than dirt. When I can't take pack life any longer, I run, but apparently they don't like losing their punching bag. Torin, the leader's son, drags me back before my first shift, a shift that will reveal my true mate. I never could have predicted who mine would be, but the moment my wolf looks upon him, I'm filled with hope for a brighter future. After all, no one ever rejects their true mate, right? Wrong. He does. He rejects her. I mean, it's kind of obvious from the title of book 1, Rejected. And she screams out her rage, screams out her power, and ends up summoning the Shadow Beast, which is kind of like their deity, right? Like who they believe in. He ends up kidnapping her and taking her to his realm, and she has no idea why. A lot happens, and this series, oh my gosh. Again, she's got so much snark to her, so much attitude. She says weird things to him, like she'll just like snark out something, and then in her head she's like, why did I say that? Do I have a death wish? Comes up with this like really cute nickname for the two of them, right? Because her dad used to always call her Sunshine, and which he ends up calling her, right? And he ends up calling her Sunshine too, and she gets upset. She's like, don't call me that, right? Because that was what her dad called her. But, you know, him being, you know, the Shadow Beast, right? You know, he's got to get under her skin, so he keeps calling her that. And so, of course, she doesn't want to keep calling him Shadow Beast, so she just calls him Shadow. And so she ends up with this really cool name for both of them, which ends up being Shadow Shine. And he's like, don't call us that. Don't call us that. And she's like, no, I'm doing it. So like every time something cool happens, she's like, Shadow Shine for the win, right? This is a very, very, very good book series. The chemistry and the steam between these two are enough to melt your clothes off. I will tell you here and now, it is very steamy. It is, whew, like it'll fog up your windows. You're going to need some water, but it is so good. So good. Shadow is gorgeous, tall. They are perfect for each other. So this definitely has enemy to lovers, but it also has found family. Shadow is my man. Beat me up, Scotty. Like, I'm yours. We will fly away. I love Shadow so much. And again, another tortured soul who's been through a lot. But you see him slowly, his shell slowly starts melting away more and more. And he starts showing out a little humor. And at one point he actually does. He kind of gives a snarky comment as a joke, and she just looks at him and she's like, why, Shadow, was that a joke? Did you just joke? Right? She's like, oh, we got to put this in the calendar. We got to make this a holiday. Shadow just joked. And again, another one I highly recommend. You should definitely read or listen to, whatever. But anyways, that is officially the end of all 10 of my top audiobooks. I'm sorry this video was so long, but when it comes to talking about these particular audiobooks, I could go on forever about them. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys have heard of any of these books, if you liked any of those books. I'm genuinely curious because nobody talks about these books anymore. I hope you guys stick around. Please subscribe so I can grow my channel. Please, 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 please subscribe, stick around, like my videos, share. I would be so, so grateful. But I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.